introduce to us the people who are doing a presentation on uh, um, college and career school links, and switch to that. So at this point, I turn it over to Gail.
Thank you, Stephen. And I appreciate the promotion, but Assistant Superintendent is my formal title. We are starting out this evening with actually a follow-up presentation. There's no action required to be taken by the board after this meeting. This is really informational. So I'd like to thank both Jen and Chrissy for being here this evening, making themselves available. There's some really exciting updates that we wanted to offer this committee. The first part, you'll hear all about Chrissy's work and the college and career functions that she's been performing for the second year now. And her position, I think you'll find both interesting and impactful. And Jen has actually been working with Chrissy for the past 2 years, and all of the administrators and the counselors, both at Pilsen and the high school, to really think about how we could improve upon some student experiences with our current product is Naviance, and we've been examining a new product, Schoollinks, which we'd like to bring to your attention. They've done a lot of work and answered a ton of questions from myself, Dr. Cook, and other people. So we wanted to bring this committee up to speed. So thank you both for being here. I'm going to share my screen if it's okay, and I'm going to turn it right over to Chrissy. So thank you all.
Great. Thank you all for having us this evening and for letting us share some of the updates in the school counseling department, particularly with my job as college and career counselor. So one of our first components of a successful college and career counseling program is to develop community partnerships. So this has been sort of an ongoing effort, which has been happening for the past 1.5 years and will continue on even past my retirement, I would imagine. It's definitely takes time to develop these relationships and to recruit some volunteers to help us. So working on just recruiting those mentors for different internships, job shadowing, as well as just special programs and presentations that we offer at Daniel Hand High School. So just trying to grab people from a number of different ways. Zoe helped me get a survey out through Dr. Cook's newsletter and the Madison Patch. So we were able to connect with a lot of people who volunteered through that. That actually led me to a reporter who contacted me from The Source, and he was kind enough to write an article about what we're doing. And that actually led to more people contacting me about getting involved and helping our students. The Madison Chamber of Commerce has been a wonderful partner through all of this. So I've been attending their monthly networking meetings and have been able to connect with a lot of our local businesses, and just meeting new people each time has been fantastic. So we currently have about 60 volunteers, and the goal is to really create a very robust selection of individuals who will work with our students. We currently have a lot of students who are interested in coming in to talk to students about their jobs and their career paths. Where we're lacking is finding people who are able to offer that job shadowing and internship. I think that COVID changed a lot of that. We have a lot of people who are working from home, so they're not in a traditional office, which really doesn't lend itself well to an intern or someone coming in for a job shadow. So we're working on that. Another initiative is just looking into ways of vetting these mentors. Obviously, the safety of our students is paramount. We want to make sure that if they're going out into the community, meeting with people, that these people are credible and reliable people that are going to keep our kids safe. So currently, right now, what we have in place is our security system that we have at Daniel Hand and all of the schools. We can run a person's license and date of birth through and grab some basic background information. So we're going to continue on that and just look into other ways of vetting. Right now, the database of mentors is really just through my office, and our goal is to make that database accessible to all students. So we want to make this publicly available. And as you know, Jen's going to talk a little bit in a few minutes about Schoollinks, but one of the many amazing features about Schoollinks is an industry partner network. So through this feature, we can invite mentors to upload profiles, videos, different available opportunities that they have. So maybe they are looking for summer employment, maybe they're looking for a summer internship or a job shadow opportunity, or maybe it's just a conversation about their job. These people can upload their information right onto School Links, and our students can interface directly with the mentors. The other great thing is that we're going to be able to use this to have our Daniel Hand High School alumni act as mentors. So when a student has a School Links account, it isn't cut off after they graduate. So they have this for life if they would like to use it. Ideally, our students will be comfortable with this. They'll be familiar with it, and it will be an easy way to connect our alumni with our current students. So we're looking forward to that. Next up is our job shadowing and internship program. So this has really been kind of exciting to see start to take off. As I mentioned, we have a lot of people out there who want to work with students, but we are definitely in need of expanding this a little bit. But we've been able to work out some opportunities for students who've expressed interest. A lot of those have just come from conversations between students and their school counselors or students and me. A couple of situations have arisen just from a particular need that a student has expressed an interest in a particular area, or a mentor has said they need an intern for a particular task. We also ask students to complete surveys about their interests in different careers and what kinds of activities they might be interested in doing. So we've had some pretty cool placements. We've had a couple of people in social media and marketing, and I think this is becoming a more popular industry for kids to go into. Actually, this past fall, as I was meeting with a lot of college admissions representatives, many of them were saying that they were adding social media and marketing as a new major in their programs. So it's kind of interesting. So I did have a woman who owns a business, a local business in town, and she had expressed a need for a student to take photos of her products and upload them onto different social media venues or platforms, and wanted some help with that. So I went to our photography teachers, said, who's your best photography student? Do you have anybody who's really enthusiastic? And they were able to connect me with a junior who the stars really aligned on this one, because this kid actually already has his own social media consultation business that he created during COVID. Talk about being productive during a lockdown. So this young man is working with her business and helping her to get things uploaded to social media, and just looking at different ways to market some of her products. We also had a student this past fall do some job shadowing in architecture. So this student was a senior enrolled in Independent Project, and she really wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do for her project, but also wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do with her life after high school. So we thought, what better opportunity to use this to kind of explore some different areas. So we focused in on architecture, connected her with a local firm, and she was able to spend a few hours each Friday with these architects, shadowing them, attending meetings, going on site visits, and really learning a lot about it. And in the end, her project was her architecture portfolio. So that was pretty successful. Education is an obvious one. Our next door neighbors at Polson and Jeffrey have been super welcoming to our students. We've had a few kids go over and do some job shadowing there. I can think of one particular girl last spring who she graduated in June, but she did some job shadowing over at Polson with different teachers, different subject areas, to kind of figure out what she wanted to do. So she really enjoyed that experience, so much so that she contacted me this fall. She's currently a freshman at University of Connecticut in the education program, and she wanted to do some more job shadowing during her winter break. So she is actually working over at Ryerson and Brown, started last week, and will continue through January, just getting some more experience in the classroom. So those have been pretty successful. The goal for this year and beyond is to, again, expand these opportunities, encourage kids to participate, recruit more mentors, encourage kids to use their own resources as well. So it doesn't have to be an internship mentor from our database. You know, if a family member or a friend or someone else knows someone, we want to encourage those opportunities as well. We're also going to be looking into establishing an unpaid experiential learning program at Daniel Hand. So this is through the Connecticut Department of Labor and the Connecticut State Department of Education. And they offer suggestions, regulations, rules and guidelines just about unpaid employment for students. So we want to make sure that we're following those regulations and doing things the right way. So we're going to be setting up a planning meeting with them to figure out what we need to do to get that established within the near future. We're also going to head back and re-look at the pre-apprenticeship program from the Connecticut Department of Labor. So Jen and I worked collaboratively with some members of the Career and Tech Ed department a couple of years ago with a grant to expand the manufacturing pathway in our Career and Tech Ed department. So we did some legwork on a pre-apprenticeship program and establishing that at Daniel Hand. So we want to get back to that and try to see what we need to do to establish that, because we have some fantastic classes that really prepare kids for some careers in the tech kind of field. So hopefully we can get that going. And I would imagine we'll have more information to report back on these 2 bullet points around this time next year.
Chrissy, before we move on in the presentation, a couple questions on this slide, and I did look at it in advance. One question is, my understanding is that there was a new law a few years ago in Connecticut, or a lawsuit that resulted in a finding that or holding that internships have to be paid in Connecticut. I understand that there's unpaid experiential learning program, the UELP, that would be an exception to that. But do we need to do anything about changing the word or the name of our class from internship to something else, so that we're not in violation of that?
Yeah, we definitely don't want to be in violation of that. So thank you for bringing that up. We're at the beginning stages, so I don't know. I don't really have any answers for you with that. I would imagine we would definitely get some guidance from the directors of the UELP program on how to avoid that. We certainly don't want to be putting our students in a situation that, would.
Yeah. And for all I know, I mean, it may apply to college students and not to high school. I'm not sure. But just a heads up to maybe look into that, just so we're not running afoul of that.
Right.
And that we also aren't, at risk to some of our students saying, hey, you owe me money because I did an internship. And then the other question is, I know that we have a class, like an individual internship class. Are some of these opportunities available outside the class structure for students who are just looking to learn about different career pathways? And how does that work?
Yeah, so we actually have the class that I was referring to earlier was the independent project. So it's not necessarily an internship class, but it's kind of a good venue to sort of incorporate some of this. But students by no means have to be in that independent project class to participate in this. In fact, a lot of our students are just stretched so thin that participating outside of school is a better idea, just because they have more time and don't have a free period during the day to run over to Jeffrey and do an internship, or maybe they don't have time in the evening to do something, but over the summer they would. So these programs are definitely open to really any student. Everything that we've been able to do through the College and Career Center so far is really open to any student who would like to participate.
So it's really like a resource for our students that they can do almost on an extracurricular basis.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Oh, hi. So my question is, you have it in the Career Center. How else are the kids, how else do they know about this, or how do they find out? And
yeah, so getting the word out is a challenge sometimes, but we have a number of different ways. So I have a Google Classroom. Not every student in school is on the Google Classroom, but as I meet with them, and I'll talk a little bit more about the curriculum and how I've been sort of integrated into our new school counseling curriculum. But the more students I meet within the classroom, the more I encourage them to join my Google Classroom, which has a lot of information. But beyond that, anything that I'm doing, I actually shuffle through the school counselors as well. So again, through the Google Classroom, every student is on their own school counselor's Google Classroom. We also put things in the morning announcements. On the bulletin, we have the TV screens that flash different things that are going on at school. So just through a variety of different ways. I'm going to look into maybe posting some things on the website as well for those people and parents too, who don't see the Google Classrooms, because the students see it, but not the parents. And I know a lot of times parents are a little more in tune to some of these activities than maybe some freshmen might be.
Right. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
All right, so some of the school day activities that have been happening, these have all been really kind of fun and exciting. We've had a number of different guest speakers in to talk with students. We have a lot of people who are interested and want to come in as well. So we had recently a woman who owns an interior design firm in New Haven come in to talk to our students. We had a woman from the Department of Public Health come in. Our partners down at Electric Boat have come in. This actually led to a great story. We had a senior last year who had expressed an interest in welding. So she had attended the information session from Electric Boat and made some contacts there, and actually had a job before she even graduated from high school. So she came back and visited in probably October or November of this year. She was beaming, very excited about her experiences, wants to come back and talk to students all about it. And I just talked with someone from Electric Boat last week about our Career Expo, and she shared with me that that student has since finished her training and will now be a full-time employee as a welder starting the beginning of January there. So that was a great success story. So we're definitely having them back again this winter. I think they were fantastic. The field trips have been a lot of fun. We've been through to a wide range of different special events and companies and colleges. So some of the companies that we have visited, WEPCO, our partners up in Middlefield, it's a manufacturing company up there. We took a trip over to Moroso, which sells performance parts for racing cars. Kids loved that. Just last week, we actually went out to see Sikorsky, and the students were able to look at the helicopters being developed at different phases. So we took a tour through the manufacturing facility there, and then met with a panel of people to learn about aerospace and mechanical engineering. So that was pretty cool. We've also been to a couple of different special programs, like a STEM symposium where the focus was on encouraging young women to explore careers in STEM. We had a lot of different hands-on activities, a manufacturing pentathlon where kids could participate in a competition, hands-on, building a tower and solving math equations and that kind of thing. And then a couple of really cool field trips we had. One was a construction career day, and the things that they had the students do were amazing. So the kids learned how to operate a skid steer and climb a utility pole and things like that. And then with the healthcare career day, they let the students use the ultrasound machine and learn how to stitch sutures on a pig skin. So it was very interactive and very hands-on. And I think the students really enjoyed that. We've also visited a couple of local colleges like Porter and Chester, as well as Middlesex and Gateway, just to help kids kind of figure out what options exist. As far as our school counseling curriculum goes, as you know, the department worked hard last year to develop the new curriculum, which was adopted in June. And our new curriculum includes lessons with me for students in grades 9 through 11. So grades 9 and 10 is more general exploration, just doing an interest activity on Naviance, just getting them to kind of see what they like to do and how that could relate to different careers. Grade 11 focuses a little bit more on their specific plans and starting to make a viable plan for after high school and following a timeline and that sort of thing. And you'll notice that there isn't a specific lesson for seniors in the curriculum, but it doesn't mean that I'm not meeting with them. I'm pretty much meeting with almost every senior at some point through some kind of some sort of workshop or activity or anything that we offer. And what we have found is that seniors at this stage in the game, their plans are just so individualized that it's really hard to come up with a lesson that's one size fits all. So instead of forcing them to sit through one thing, we've been able to offer a lot of different things that are relevant to their plans. couple new big programs that we have implemented. The first is our Junior Planning Day, and this was a pilot last year. It was very successful, and we are now going to make this an annual event. But what the day looked like was that we had probably about 15 workshops that students could select from. And they varied anything from navigating the college search to inside the admissions process to taking a gap year, looking at trade and technical school options. How do you write a resume? How do you manage the stress in the post-secondary planning process? What kind of skills do employers want to see? So there really was something for everyone on that day. And the students were able to select 3 workshops. I think they were about 45 minutes long. And they chose the ones that were most interesting to them. So that was very successful. We're going to offer that again. We carefully selected our day of May 17th because our students, the juniors, will be attending the junior prom that night. And as you know, our attendance policy requires them to be in school for a few hours in order to attend extracurricular activities. So we have a captive audience. We know that we are going to not miss very many students that day. So that is our Junior Planning Day that we've been excited about. And then this year, we are hot off the press going to be offering a Career Expo. So you might be aware that in the past, we have offered a college and career fair all in the same evening, which has worked in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways, there are ways we can improve it. So we're going to divide these 2 activities this year. We're still going to have our traditional college fair in the evening in March, but we're going to try a Career Expo during the school day. And the purpose of this is to really get greater participation from some of the mentors. So we have some representation, but not as much as I would like to see. So we're hoping that during the workday, we might get more people. We're also hoping that the students will engage more meaningfully with these professionals with some direction during the school day, and also without the distraction and the stress of feeling like they have to meet with the colleges at the same time. So it's a lot kind of squished into one night. So we're breaking that off. We'll see how that works. I'm sure there will be wrinkles to iron out and tweaks to make. So we're just doing a pilot this year to the juniors only. Once we sort of figure out how this is working and what we need to do to improve it, we will plan for an annual event and open it up to additional grade levels in successive years. So that's kind of that. These are just some pictures of kids attending different events, some of the field trips that we've taken that I mentioned previously, all kinds of stuff, having fun.
Can I just say that with regard to separating out the career day, I think that's a fantastic idea because the college and career day concept always seemed to be, although you did a lot to try to bring in career people as well, it seemed to be more focused on the college bound students. And I think that a lot of the career focused students just kind of felt that that's an event for the college bound kids and probably sat it out. And possibly some of the people who could have come from the career fields also sat it out because they figured it's kind of, they get short shrift compared to the colleges. So I just think it really serves all our students well to separate that day out, and it's worth the effort. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll report back. Hopefully it'll be successful.
Good luck.
All right, so I'm going to pass this over to Jen, who is going to give you a little information about School Links, which we're very excited about.
Thank you, Chrissy, and you're a hard act to follow since I'm just giving an update on School Links, but her information and the activities that she's been doing have been wonderful. The kids have really enjoyed a lot of the things that she's had to offer, so that's exciting. School Links is a program, a platform that we've been, as Gail mentioned, looking into for about 2 years now, just trying to get rid of Naviance and find something fresh and new for the students that maybe is a little bit more engaging. So one of the reasons why we want to change is that students aren't using Naviance the way that we had hoped they would, the way that I think they should be using it. They're really just using it for the college application piece, and there's so much more to offer in platforms like this. But I think that School Links is going to be a better match for our students. And we will also have it for the Polson students as well. So they'll be familiar with it from 6th grade through 12th grade. So that is our hope. It's also very difficult to reach Naviance. A lot of the districts have mentioned this, but very hard to get in touch with. They don't usually have the answers that we're looking for or answers at all. So we're hoping that School Links is different. And we have heard from other districts that they certainly are. I think because they're new, they're willing to, research things and answer questions and fix things along the way. So that's our hope for the School Links change. Again, we wanted to do this last year, but there were no other Connecticut districts using the program. So we wanted to wait and see. And now there are multiple districts using it and more even so interested in using it in the future. So that is why we are switching. Our rollout plan is similar to the one that we probably presented when we first talked about this program. We plan to add School Links this spring for the counselors so that we could become familiar with the program ourselves, get trained on all of the different aspects. I know Chrissy probably has seen a lot of the trainings already, so she could probably help us with that. But there are so many different pieces that we want to use, from the internships, the alumni, the career programs, and then also all of the transcript for, piece and everything else. So they will train us in the spring of this year, and we will then transfer data this summer from Naviance and our Infinite Campus program into School Links so that that's all ready. The data will be there. I'm sure Art can answer any questions, through that process as well. And then our counselors plan to create a video, a kind of a how to use video for parents and students that we will again post on our website and the classrooms, because we know it's a new program and there will be a learning curve, I think, for everybody. And then the school counselors and college and career counselor, Chrissy, will be working to orient the students next year, using it in our lessons, using it again at Polson in their lessons, and then obviously with the college piece that we use Naviance for now. We did talk to students for feedback on this. We had a handful of students use it at Polson just to see what they thought about it. They all thought it was kind of looked more like a game, more interactive, and they felt their classmates would like it. I think it looks more like social media, which we all know, unfortunately, everyone is interested in what we use. So I think that's the draw, and I think they'll use it more for that reason. The high school students also said it was easier to use than Naviance is, more manageable. The main platform is just easier to maneuver and get around. So I think that they'll like it. They said they loved the college search feature. It was easy to read and presented the information well. And again, it was engaging. We want to engage our students, and they would rather use School Links. They felt it was more current, more modern. So again, just something that it's less overwhelming. And I think we will use it more for things like the internship piece and even posting jobs and things like that Chrissy was mentioning. I think it'll be used more on a daily basis rather than just using it when we need to use it or when students and families need to use it.
I see Marianne has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're muted. Sorry.
Yeah, I unmuted myself. Just
Sure.
my dog was barking. I just wanted to just to back it up to the field trips. I wondered how do you decide like who gets to go on those field trips? They seem great.
Yeah, so anyone gets to go. Anyone who wants to go. Sometimes we have limitations on numbers. We can't just bring thousands of kids to a secure facility like Sikorsky. But so it's just kind of like word of mouth, first come, first serve. But a lot of times I'll advertise through classrooms as well. So going back to the Sikorsky example, an obvious choice is hitting those kids who are interested in engineering. So talking to our physics teachers, even our computer science teacher, having those teachers advertise. A lot of times it's just word of mouth. Kids are our best marketers, honestly. One kid hears about it. Hey, did you hear about that field trip? I'm going to go on that field trip. And then that sort of thing. One thing we want to work on is just how do we get this information out to parents? And I think I mentioned earlier, just maybe posting some of that information on the website as well, because I do think that parents are a little bit out of the loop on some of this until their kid comes home with the permission form and asks for it to be signed. So working on better ways to get the word out, because sometimes there definitely are kids who would have liked to have gone, but didn't know it was in existence, that it was happening.
We also just
Thank you.
created a newsletter that we're going to try to use this year for our juniors, for our junior meetings, that has some information on it. So our hope is to maybe, if that works, and if that's a good way to communicate with the families, that maybe we could do even just 3 newsletters a year, just to get some of Chrissy's information out and then some of our information out as well, as many ways as we can.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think
for-
Zoe helped me at one point. Zoe and I met last year about how do I market this stuff? I don't know. This is not my background. And she said, you've got to just hit it from 3 different ways. Always, try 3 different things. And so just that I just will go through teachers and announcements and emails, and I always ask kids, how'd you hear about this? So that I can see what is working and what's not working.
Right. That's why that social media and marketing class sounds really good.
Yeah.
There's a fairly local company that might be worth looking into for either those unpaid learning opportunities or for a field trip. And they're in the precision manufacturing of parts for the aeronautical industry.
Are you
And
talking about Lee
it's
Company?
the Lee Company in West. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are amazing. They welcomed us last year as well for a field
Okay.
trip.
Good.
And they're a great partner. Absolutely. One of the challenges we have with, especially with manufacturing, is the safety conditions in the manufacturing facilities and not allowing kids. I think Lee had that issue, is that they can't have someone under the age of 18 in the manufacturing facility, but would welcome anyone after the age of 18. So some of those little challenges and bumps we have to kind of work through. But yeah, I agree with you. Lee Company is a great partner to have for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have a couple questions. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm not a huge fan of Naviance, but Naviance has in the past done a couple things reasonably well. One has been, initially in middle school or early high school, doing the interest inventory and being able to suggest to students that based on their responses, they may have some talents or interests on careers that they never heard of, that they might be worth their while to explore. If we switch, or as we switch to School Links, is there that component in the School Links program?
Yes, there are a lot of different inventories that students can take. And I think even the information that is out there for them is just much easier to read. So actually just this afternoon, I was in a classroom full of freshmen and we did the old Myers-Briggs personality test on Naviance. So students were able to learn about different dimensions of their personality and how that relates to different careers. Even just navigating that through Naviance was challenging. They would read the report, okay, I'm this ISTJ personality type. Where are my careers? I can't find them. Okay, now how do I look for this? What kind of degree do I need? It's not as instinctual, whereas School Links, it's right there, very easy to navigate, as Jen said. So they're able to take these inventories and assessments and then link it right directly to the career information, which is phenomenal. So it definitely
Great.
does a better job of that. And I agree with you that Naviance does do some things well, but other things could use improvement. And I think that's what led me in the first place to look for other platforms. And I don't know about Jen, but definitely felt like there were other things that could do it better.
No, that makes perfect sense. The other thing I'm looking for is Naviance. A big part of Naviance was developing and maintaining a portfolio of experiences, things students have done, capstone projects, a whole host of things that ultimately, when they go looking for colleges or, and or careers, it's something they could access. So one, I'm looking to what degree does Schoolings do that? And a parallel question, across the country, there is a vertical continuum of starting in middle school, trying to develop interests, making those interests, not locking students into them, but communicating to teachers and guidance counselors, that the student seems to have a particular interest, and then being able to shape experiences or connect courses or whatever to that student interest. Now, related to that and the whole idea of portfolios, and a lot of states do it to a much greater extent than Connecticut does, but there are so many opportunities online for students to be able to get credentials, certifications, just knowledge exposure, many of them which are free and they're recognized around the world. As we unfold this program and we support students in their particular interests, to be able to make it available to students or to be able to communicate to students that having things like that in your portfolio has value, and then students can choose in their own time or summer or whatever. And, it fits in with the whole independent study concept. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think this program does a lot of that very well. So as an example, just the resume feature in and of itself, to this day, I honestly can't figure out how to get Naviance to print out a resume or create a PDF that a student could then forward on to someone. It's great in terms of helping them to develop an activity list and organize it in a way that is comprehensible. But if it's not usable to send somewhere, it doesn't work. So one of the things that attracted me initially to Schoollinks was how this works. So the software that they have in there, I mean, the kids will plug in all of their information, hit a button, boom, there you go, resume. It's phenomenal. And they're able to pass that on to colleges or scholarships or potential employers or whoever might need that information. So that is one amazing feature with it. The other great thing is that this company is really open to suggestions and feedback that school counselors have. So if for some reason we don't have the ability to have a kid upload something, we can talk with them, and more than likely they're going to develop it. They're there for the kids and for the school counselors. So they've been very responsive to suggestions that all high school counselors have had. But for right now, what they have in place, we can really upload any sort of questionnaire or information that we want them to include. So in addition to the stuff that's already embedded into the platform, we're able to create our own documents. For example, we have all of our juniors complete a junior reflection, just kind of focusing on their high school, what they've done, what they're going to be doing in the future. And they provide that to their school counselors, who in turn will use that information as they're composing the recommendation letters. So things like that, we can upload that right to our Schoollinks program. We can do that to Naviance as well, but just the way that this all sort of is visually accessible to the students, it's a lot easier to kind of navigate through and find those resources that we're posting.
That's great. And I absolutely agree with you. In my experience, students just did not use Naviance very well or fully. Of course, if they don't use it, then it has no value whatsoever. So, I think this is a really good move. I also would like to add this whole business of finding mentors. I understand it's a long process, and, vetting people is really key. But I've long felt this community in particular, we've got a lot of retired professionals in this town, that I think, have an interest in young people. So over time, developing a cadre of those folks that can share their career experiences and mentor students is just a huge enhancement and opportunity for kids as they start pursuing, what they may be interested in. So I really applaud that work. I love that you're doing it.
Yeah, we've had some really interesting folks contact us, so I'm excited to get them connected with kids.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I did raise my hand on the bottom, but I don't know. So one question, I was a school nurse, so I know a little bit about Naviance. So what is the difference, like, cost effectively, like between that program and this program?
Marianne, I'm glad you asked that. That's one of the reasons why we held off for a year, as well as doing all the research. We wanted to see some success stories in Connecticut, as well as some other states. But initially, we were looking at an overlap cost. We were going to run both programs, Naviance and SchoolLinks, for a year. And that was an expense that we weren't really excited to have. So we actually have thanks to Jen and Chrissy, like, not giving up. We had numerous questions for them to answer. That was one of them. We wanted to see a more efficient way to change platforms, and they have been able to do that. So we are not running parallel programs. We are changing one to the other. There is a tiny increase in Paulson and Daniel Hand that is nominal. It's about $1,000, I think, each building between the two products, but the usability for students is 10 times that from what we've seen and what we've heard from kids. So I think it's well worth the investment when you have a product that's not doing what it should be doing and kids aren't using it to leverage what it can do, to spend an extra couple thousand a year for those two school buildings and hundreds of kids. We're pretty excited that we could eliminate the overlap cost.
Good, good.
Hope you don't mind me answering that, Jen.
No, that's fine.
And I also wanted to jump in and add to Stephen's question. That was one of my questions as well, is I wanted to see the ability and the flexibility to add more portfolio work, to have kids be able to collect and curate over time. And SchoolLinks has a better capacity to do that than the old Naviance as well.
Yeah, in my experience as a parent, Naviance was always, it was amazing at the time for how it made a lot of things available through technology online to parents and to students. But like many things, that was the first generation. Since then, there's a whole new generation of products that have come out that were next generation to market that are just huge improvements. And I guess Naviance kind of just rested on its laurels. It's still very clunky and hard to use. I'm really excited about this new platform.
Sometimes it's nice to have competition.
Yes.
True.
But even if you have it, if the kids aren't going to use it and it's not usable, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, very true. That's a bad investment for all of us.
Right.
So one of the things that we wanted to see that was clear last year is that Jen had linked up with other counselors that were looking into SchoolLinks, but we really wanted to see some school districts move forward with it before we did. We didn't want to be first. So Jen's done a phenomenal job of making lots of calls. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jen to talk.
Yeah, Chrissy actually has done a lot of the legwork too. But we both just researched and it wasn't hard to find. Once you kind of go to a meeting or two, there were more districts really talking about SchoolLinks and excited about it. I just listed 3 here that I know are definitely using it that Chrissy and I talked to. Weston, again, said there were very few complaints. And if they had questions, like I said, they were able to call and get a response or a solution quickly. Greenwich is using it just for internships and a database portion right now, but they, again, are finding it very easy to use, which is what we're all looking for as well. And Cheshire, we're going to probably go and visit Cheshire. I have a few friends that work there in the counseling department. So we're gonna go sit with them and I would like to like see how they're using it, really sit down and look at it with them. But they said so far so good. Teacher recs are easy. It's not clunky like you were saying, Seth. I think the Common App link part is linking piece is easy. So I just think that I think overall they're having great success. They're enjoying it. The kids are enjoying it. So that is our main goal, to get something like you said, Seth. I think Naviance was great when it came out, but you know, we kind of need to move on and find something that's a little bit fresher and better for our students.
So does that complete your presentation?
It does.
Okay, do we have any more questions from our board members?
Sounds good.
Zoe, do we have any members of the public?
Nope, nobody is online.
Okay. You know, I would just make one last point. You know, I really, you know, appreciate Chrissy and Jen, the presentation and the work. This is, you know, this is critical. You know, as we evolve into this, I think it's very useful because the tendency is, you know, a tradition in public education that we see, you know, traditional academic work in one, you know, one box, and then we see career issues in a whole nother strand. And trying to bring those together, I think, makes a whole lot of sense. So that when, you know, when a science teacher has a group of students and we know, you know, that they have a student or several students that, you know, want to be a veterinarian or a vet tech or something else, you know, being able to make those connections to students, you know, to be able to say, this has value to you. And, you know, as you pursue your career, it's just, I think it's useful information in terms of connecting kids and having them understand that, you know, sometimes, you know, school isn't just about pursuing, you know, the good grades and the tests, that has a direct connection to their aspirations and their plans and where they're going. And sometimes the adults need to make those connections and help make those connections to them. It's just a thought.
And we're so grateful to have some incredible teachers at hand, and so many teachers really support this. A lot of the guest speakers that we've been bringing in, I certainly don't want to bring in a guest speaker and just have them have a room full of 2 students. So most of the times I'm actually pulling in a class. So for the person who came from the Department of Public Health, we had the infectious disease classes come down and then invited other students who had a career interest in that area. For the interior design, we had our interior design class come in and then invited other students. So our teachers are excited. They're excited to have career speakers come in, and our students are enjoying it too. So it's been great.
And I want to say, I
Great way
appreciate,
to do that. I appreciate that. Yeah.
and I appreciate your support. I think everyone's excited, and I appreciate you, you know, taking the time to listen and to support what we're doing, what Chrissy's doing. And I think it's exciting stuff, like you said, hands-on and different and exciting. So
Any other comments, questions? Well, barring that, thank you very, very, very much for your presentation. And it is 5:23, and I would like to adjourn our committee. Thanks so much for everybody joining us today.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
guys. Good presentation. Happy holidays, everyone.
You too.
thank